191 and 192 and then 18555 all were ringing, nobody was picking it. So when we came back from the hospital, I learned the lady's mother called a cousin who is at the police headquarters, and he called. The police are doing very, very, very well, but they don't have what it takes to fight crime. The police that came, two pickups that came over there, they were not in bulletproof. You could see there are certain things we don't need to say on radio. Like somebody will just volunteer himself on radio and say, I want to foundation for how do you call it, raincoat for policemen. The DSP Sifasata will come and tell you we have enough for them. They will tell you we want this for the police. They say we have enough for them. I think that the police are not equipped. The IG and then the government should turn to the police. We are not safe as people living in our own country. To armed robbery today, as I speak to you, Michael Otiaje of TV3 was also robbed this dawn at Santa Maria, same area. Two people were robbed in that area. You see? So if we live in an era that we don't have lights, and then what we see, robbers coming on us, we are not safe.
Well, the police have meanwhile been explaining why the distress calls from the Anderson family may not have been answered.
The Accra Region Police Public Relations Officer says when they eventually got wind of the incident through another source, they had a difficulty tracing the house because of the poor address system in the neighborhood.
Our lines are always opened, and especially at that particular and ungodly hour, that is our crucial time. That is when we even intensify our patrols more. And sometimes if you call our line and no one is answering, in this particular case, it was that the line was being called, but it wasn't going through. That is, let me just assume that maybe it was engaged.
So what he says is that the line actually went through, but nobody answered the calls.
Really, I think we also have to find out from that angle, because I know that anytime these numbers are called, we answer them. People have even attested to that. And in some other countries, yours is just to give a direction. They are there, you know. So it helps in our crime fight and it helps in our work, because there are times that you've had the information of somebody being in distress. You are eager to respond to the issue. You will be going round back and forth, and it comes to a time where you have to even call the same person and the phone is even off. Because when it happens, like, it thwarts our work.
Well, we hope that a lot more distress calls would be answered, especially when residents are in great difficulty. You know,
a friend who lives just behind the trade fair also experienced the same thing. It was actually 4 houses at a go. And can you imagine if the first person who was attacked started calling the police, the second, the third, the fourth? The police only appeared at the scene 5 minutes after the robbers had finished what they came to do.
For the 4 houses?
Yeah. And neighbors who were not even involved were all calling the police. I don't know. I think, this issue of address system may be an issue, but it's certainly not the whole country.
Yeah.
We certainly don't have that issue. We must be addressing, a core problem here. And I know that sometimes people also play pranks with the police. They call when there's nothing, when there's no emergency. So can we stop that so that they can address emergency
Security
situations?
is really a huge issue, especially when you move into a new neighborhood or the neighborhood is not a lot more developed in many respects.
Yeah.
Well, an Israeli professor, Naomi Chazan, is calling for a deliberate affirmative action policy that will make Ghana's democratic participation more open and participatory than currently is.
Well, Professor Chazan's call came in the wake of the botched affirmative action move by the NPP to allow only women to contest the party's incumbent female MPs in the upcoming parliamentary primaries. She was speaking at the 11th Krontine Akwemo lecture on democracy and governance on the topic promoting inclusion in African democracy.
How do you apply affirmative action in single-member first-past-the-post systems? I've heard some suggestions in Ghana in the last few days that, frankly, I would have rejected out of hand because they don't promote inclusion. They freeze the existing situation. But they are affirmative action mechanism. The advantage of majoritarian systems is that they're much less conflictual than PR systems. There's a question here. If you're appointing people for who they are and not for what they can do, are you actually appointing the most competent officials? Are these the best of the best that are going to be running the country?
Well, government says it is investing in technology that will enhance the security of the state.
Interior Minister Mark Woyongo says the acquisitions are aimed to ensure Ghana is safe and secure from both internal and external forces. He was addressing the closing ceremony of the country's first Joint Crisis Management Unit training at Poalogo in the Upper East region. 350 officers making up this team were drawn from all security agencies across the country and are to respond to any form of attacks as well as natural disasters.
Mark Woyongo describes the formation of the units as timely.
This training is also very timely, considering the sprouting of terrorist cells around the world. Those that really come to mind are Boko Haram and the ISIS. The importance of this exercise, therefore, cannot be overemphasized. It is therefore incumbent on participants to appreciate the fact that the knowledge and skills that have been acquired here will be brought to bear on their performance and responsibilities for the benefit of the nation as a whole. Some additional technological equipment and aircraft to enhance our internal security and operations. I wish at this juncture, on behalf of the government and people of Ghana, the Ministry of the Interior, to thank the German government for its resolve to support Ghana proactively and reactively in its anti-terrorism efforts.
Well, the local government ministry and the Accra Metropolitan Assembly says plans are far advanced to secure a €2.8 million facility to put up a more sophisticated dumping site at the current Lavender Hill.
The initiative, according to the Mayor of Accra, is to put an end to dumping at inappropriate locations that contribute largely to the spread of cholera. This was disclosed after the ministry and some assemblies in the Greater Accra region embarked on a tour of some landfill sites here in the Greater Accra region.
This is the Lavender Hill here in Accra, and every single day 140 of these tankers come here to dump liquid waste, endangering the sea and the environment. And as the rain sets in, the local government ministry has seen the danger it poses to our environment, and in an attempt to stop the spread of cholera, they've moved in to stop the practice of dumping waste here at the Lavender Hill. According to health experts, unprecedented number of cholera cases was recorded early this year, mostly in the Greater Accra region. Prominent among causes of cholera is indiscriminate dumping of waste. The Lavender Hill in Accra serves as a main dump site for fecal matter and may have been contributing to the spread of cholera. To prevent further spread of diseases from the Lavender Hill, Accra Mayor Alfred Oko Vanderpoy says the Assembly has stepped up efforts to close down Lavender Hill.
Lavender Hill has existed for over 90 years. We have created this pilot program with the digesters, which is today taking about one-third of the trucks. This system has worked. Now that has proven to be an effective way of dealing with Lavender Hill. We are going to bring in, by June, July, we are going to bring in extra 12 digesters, and that will be built on the original Lavender Hill spot, and then that will receive the additional 2/3 of the fiscal matter that is being dumped with the trucks every day, and then in so doing we will end Lavender Hill.
The local government minister, Collins Dauda, who led the delegation, said the issue of waste management must start with the citizenry.
We had incidents of cholera outbreak, and that resulted in as much as 20,000 cases recorded in the whole country, but mainly from the Greater Accra area. We were taken unawares last year, but based on the experiences of last year, we have been proactive this year.
The team also toured the Pone landfill site in Tema. The facility, which was originally designed to take 500 tons of waste daily, is currently taking about 2,000 tons daily without backup.
If there is an emergency, as we had last year with Accra coming, it's an emergency, so we should take an emergency position and decision, and that is why we are now talking ahead of time. Otherwise, we had time to reorganize ourselves. But given the challenge, as leaders, we must be dynamic. We've made an appeal to the local government ministry, stating clearly the danger ahead of us, that if we do not move swiftly to provide an additional cells for this facility, one day what you introduce this subject with would befall all of us.
Ashao Dampton, however, added that in the long term, the Assembly is planning to turn the waste to energy. Until then, alternative landfill sites must be built before disaster strikes.
Well, we have to take you to South Africa, where the xenophobic attacks being experienced in that country is said to have become worse or worsened in the last few days.
Well, 6 people are so far said to have been killed. Did you say 8 earlier?
Yeah, as of this morning, yes.
Okay, so with reports suggesting it includes a Ghanaian whose name has been given as Emmanuel Kwesi Kwesen. He's said to have been killed in Durban by local gangs. So Joy News has been finding out from Ghanaians what they think about the latest development in South Africa.
For me, it's racial discrimination. We are all Africans and we should treat ourselves as one. If Africans are treating each other like that, how will the whites also treat us?
So what do you recommend we do?
Well, I think our leaders should put measures in place so that to address such issues with their leaders too, in order to be on point.
Very pathetic, very, very bad. It's not good at all. You see, we are all Africans, you know, and we have something in common. Very bad, catching your fellow human being, killing him because of job. No, it's very bad. It's very bad. I think they should come together as one continent so that they will fight that menace. It's very bad. It's not good.
I feel bad because killing somebody or killing innocent people it's not good. Snatching your job, because of snatching your job, that's why you are killing them. It's not good. If you send them back to their country, I hope that will be the best. They should stand up and then fight for our right, because killing us will not bring anything.
It ain't fair, because let me say an African or another person has come to your country looking for a job or anything, that you are saying that they are there to snatch your job, so you are killing them. It's not.
Okay, so still on the subject, we know that the government of Ghana has not made any emphatic statement yet, but we'll go to Nigeria because there's something coming out of the federal government of Nigeria. Well, they've said that they will consider the option of evacuating Nigerians who are willing to go back to Nigeria if the xenophobic attacks in South Africa worsens. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Aminu Wali, said this in Abuja yesterday, Thursday. The minister appealed to all Nigerian businesses and business owners to close their businesses until the situation has been brought under control. In a related development, the House of Representatives have also asked for the recall of Nigeria's ambassador to South Africa following the xenophobic attacks. The House members also advocated that the diplomatic principle of reciprocity be applied to South African businesses in Nigeria. Quickly, let me also take you to Durban in South Africa, because there was a rally against this act. Up to 5,000 people took part in a rally against xenophobia in South Africa's coastal city of Durban following attacks on foreigners. And also the President Jacob Zuma condemned the violence, which have claimed at least 5. This was as of yesterday, but this morning we're hearing 8, and he's called for calm to be restored. But if some of the leaders in South Africa themselves wanted foreigners out and they did not prescribe to their followers what form that should take, now, you know, people are just taking things into their own hands. Is it perhaps a bit too late for the president to be saying this in terms of the president of South Africa? Because I remember a son of his had also supported that call by the local chief to get foreigners out of the country. It's amazing, but South Africa is an absolutely beautiful place. But look at what is happening.
So please make sure you give us some of those messages you have on our social network pages and on Facebook. We have Joy News and TV, and also please let those messages be reflecting on a handle on Twitter, Joy News on TV. It's a very sad moment, I feel. I don't know why we make all the complaints about how white are always attacking blacks and very racist in their thinking, etc. But as far as we're concerned, Africans in themselves also need to have a rethink. Yeah, I think it's important. This is what we're going to do. We'll try as much as possible to get a lot more highlights on this, and we want to speak to international relation experts and try to get a perspective as to what is happening and why this is happening as well, and how this could jeopardize relations between South Africa, its neighbors, but also South Africa among the Community of Nations, not only on the continent, but also in the world.
It's amazing. And I don't know if people would still want to go to South Africa, but it's one of the places that a lot of Ghanaians, for instance, would love to just go and visit on holiday. You know,
you went there in December.
So, yes, I did, and I wanted to stay actually.
Yeah, because since you returned, you've never been the same.
Okay, but you know, things like these should not be happening, and South Africans should know that there are South Africans everywhere. There are foreigners everywhere. They will be here. I mean, look at Ghana, for instance.
The point is, once you get to develop, you should expect to have foreigners. I was reading something about Qatar and also the UAE, etc. And averagely, they only make up about 23% of the whole population. You know, so well, we'll try as much as possible. Well, right now, we're going for a break. When we come back, we'll be getting a lot more perspective on this. We'll be speaking to international relation expert Dr. Vladimir Nchidanso of the Lagos Center for International Affairs and Diplomacy.
But just to let you know, this is where we have to end the AM News. It's brought to you by Coca-Cola. Put one chilled one in the fridge. If you're experiencing doom, don't worry. Here's the trick.
If you're experiencing what?
Doom. I mean, if it's doom cry. If it's doom cry, you can put the Coke in the freezer session, and keep it there. So later this afternoon, when you've had your lunch, then you open it. It will cool you down. I tell you what, stay with us. We'll come and review the newspapers for you.